facing head-on the emotions beneath the surface as we bridge from an old world of confusion and lack to a beautiful new world of freedom, abundance, and love with straightforward truth and inspired hope is what you'll find on The Charla Anderson Show. Collector and connector of fascinating people. And everyone is fascinating. Here's your host, Charla Anderson.
Good, beautiful day, you beautiful, beautiful souls. Today, this is Charla Anderson, host of the Charla Anderson Show, collector and connector of fascinating people. And everyone is fascinating, especially you. So grateful for you to join me today. We're on a fabulous win-win-win platform and Podetize podcast. Today, I have an incredible guest, Lisa Mosbey, a entrepreneur, a multi-preneur, so to speak, and we're going to introduce her in just a moment. But first, I'm going to do a mini vacation for us all, a little 22-second breathing exercise to get us centered and grounded, and just, breathe in calm for 7 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, and breathe out gratitude for 11 seconds. And it helps me. I hope it helps you. It should. And so let's just do it. Here we go. Breathing in calm for 7 seconds. Hold. Breathe out. Release gratitude. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. To me, that, the way our world is right now, it just takes a few seconds to get a little bit more centered and grounded and connected. How's that? Maybe more connected. We don't always have time to go hug trees. So here, that's an option. So I'm really excited and grateful to have Lisa Mosbey with me today. She is a television show host on Win-Win Women as well. And her show is Live with Favor, which is an acronym. And I know we're going to go over that because I love her message. And she is so multifaceted. I don't know how much she could have gotten done in her life that she's done already. And she's still out there doing it. And there's a lot of us in this last half of our lives, I said, or less, that we are, just out there pumping it out. And Lisa, thank you so much for being with me today. I'm so happy to have you as my guest. And your favor acronym, I just think is fabulous. And so tell us a little bit about who you are in this world. And a lot about who you are in this world and a little bit about what you do. And we'll just roll with that.
Sure, I would love to do that. And thank you so much for welcoming me and bringing me in as a guest, because it's, usually I'm on your side of the table. And when you told me of the topic, overcoming, I kind of had to skip a beat and go, well, I don't know, because I don't usually put that out there in this format. So this is a new experience for me. And I always love and embrace new experiences. I started as an entrepreneur 40 years ago. I don't know if you caught 40 years ago, I have been an entrepreneur. I'm celebrating September 12th. This year will be 40 years in business. The majority of them as an entrepreneur, at least in mindset. There have been a few times along the way where I needed to work for somebody else for short periods of time, but I have always, since I was 18 years old, owned my own business. And as an entrepreneur, all of those years, I've ridden the waves. I've gone up, I've gone down, I've had successes. And the greatest growth I had was in those failures. And so when you asked me about overcoming, I went back and looked at some of my journals and grabbed a couple of highlights of, over that time that maybe we'll talk about today. I have some notes. I actually took notes. Usually I don't bring notes for an interview, but I did bring notes because I wanted to make sure that I hit some of those really big monumental overcoming opportunities. So that's what I hope to share today. I'm also a holistic practitioner. I went and have 2 master herbalist certifications, retired from doing one-on-one work, and now I primarily live in the virtual world. I do accountability groups. I have a weight and wellness every Saturday morning for the last 4 years. I do 2 tech workshops a week where I work with folks to get their voice put into a digital format by, creating landing pages, connecting them with email campaigns, and doing all of the digital marketing, primarily for people in the wellness and service businesses. And then I do public speaking on top of that. And my message in public speaking is this idea of living with favor. And you're right, favor is an acronym. It stands for faith, abundance, vitality, overflow, and relationships. And those are the 5 pillars that really stood out. They were a focus for me. I didn't realize it, this is hindsight learning this. As I was looking, like, what do I want to do in the next chapter? Those were the 5 pillars that kind of popped out. I played with a lot of different words, and I was looking for an acronym of all of those different words over the last 40 years, things that represented those 40 years. And this is what I came up with. So that's the message. That's what I'm talking about, podcasting about, and writing about. And I don't know what writing about is going to look like yet, but we'll see.
I was going to, Zig Ziglar, every time I saw him and every time everybody saw him, he would say, have you written your book yet? Have you written your book yet?
No.
And, he died in 2012. So it's been a while, but every one of us has a story. We have stories. And if we learn to share our stories and give hope. So this is my ultimate goal with the overcoming, talking about that with people, is that it offers hope, because nobody has had a life like this, just continual perfect growth and, all that. So you talked about some down times in your side at the time. I mean, later on we're going, oh yeah, I learned a lot, but in the moment, not so much, right?
For sure. Yeah. It was a struggle during those times in the moment.
And then you figured it out, right? You figured it out, and we punch through, we find a way. And if you can take a breath in this moment, you've been provided for. And one way or the other, I don't care what your circumstances are, you've been provided for up to this moment in time. If you can take a breath, it's only when you don't have another breath to take that stops. And so when we can recognize that this moment is all we have, and those experiences have brought us to this moment in time, right?
For sure. Oh yeah. I wouldn't be where I am today. I wouldn't have served the tens of thousands of people that I have served had those points in my life not happened. I'd be on a totally different path, totally different trajectory, different place.
Don't you just love it? All of a sudden you're going, what happened? How did I get here? It's like, wow. And do you notice that when you're open to receive, when you're open to learn, and you are a avid learner, you're like a sponge. You want to, like me, I just want to know everything. And then it gets a little scrambled in my brain trying to get it back out. But that's don't you notice that?
I do. And I think, for me, what contributed to that was blessing and releasing television. About 4 years ago, I said, I don't want to own a TV anymore. I started with Libby, which is an app that you can check out books from the library. And I set a goal of doing 2 books a month. And I started listening to that and doing audios and, taking courses online, and just like starting to fill up my brain with all those things that I wanted to do and say before I die. And it changed. Things changed. I was able to step into, I've always had an attitude of gratitude, but really stepping in even stronger to that attitude of gratitude and give back, like that extra piece of how do you give back? People keep saying, oh, you're such a healer. And it's like, I don't know about that, but I'm definitely the Lord's cheerleader. Like if you get a struggle, I'm going to be on your side with the pom-poms. I'm going to get you out of the mud. I'm going to pull you out. I'm the tow truck. I'm the cheerleader. I really help and serve and aim to motivate people to, as my sister says, grab the big girl pull up your big girl panties and grab your coffee cup and you're ready for the day. She used to send me these little icons when I was going through the tough stuff in 2017 and 2018. And that one just stuck with me because I love coffee. And she's like, all right, get out of bed. pull up your big girl panties and grab the coffee cup and hit the floor running, you put these things in place to get you motivated and keep you going.
Well, so the first thing of that, giving up television, there's no arrogance in this, but it's like in seventh grade, between seventh and eighth grade, I got addicted to soap operas. 3, General Hospital, Dark Shadows, and whatever else the other one was. I don't remember. I did not think I could go back to school. I didn't think I could go to 8th grade. I was so just distraught to miss my shows. And during that time of my life, I was like, I am not going to be addicted to anything. So after the summer of 8th grade, when I had the opportunity to get back into those soap operas, I was like, I'm not going to be addicted to anything. So no, I'm not doing it. So looking back decades and decades later and going, I gave up television basically between 7th and 8th grade. Mm-hmm. I don't think I'm less of a person because of it. I think that I have, gained so much. And you mentioned the library, and oh my gosh, I take my little, she's now 19 months old grandbaby, and we go to the library, and we get 8 books every week so we can, and then I put them get them on the end of her bed, and she'll be reading them in the mornings. They're hard books right now, but yeah. I want the love of learning and reading to replace you. There's nothing you can't learn and in the library. Seriously, all sure. Wisdom and knowledge is there, and people's legacies are there, and I really appreciate that. And I think library cards, if I'm not mistaken, and I'm sure there's newer studies, but Jim Rohn said 3% of people have library cards. But our library, if you're single, they have all kinds of events. I don't want to go to a singles group because it's like a meat market, but they have so many events that are that. Yeah, they have craft making and 3D printing. All kinds of crazy stuff. So that is a really good place to spend time, and the free internet, and it's free, all of that. Yeah. So you mentioned 2 or 3 things that it just really got my attention there. So yeah, we're learning and good for you. I got
it's not
TVs
that I'm
in
disconnected.
The house.
I just had to let go of that, but I still have my iPad, so I stream stuff. I still get my news feeds. And I went to the movies last night. I go, pretty consistently on Tuesday. So, I still have that form of entertainment. But what I realized for me is that I don't want to watch someone living a life. I want to live the life that I'm watching on TV. I think I'm at 23 countries and 38 states right now. And that's just the beginning. I want to keep going. I have a friend had dinner with on Friday night. Her and her husband sold everything they own in, it's 12 years ago, and they left Minnesota and have been traveling the world, hundreds of thousands of miles. They just reached their 1,000,000th follower on their website because she has been writing every single day of this journey for the last 12 years about their experiences of being vagabonds, living on the road and not owning a car or a house, owning what they can fit into their 4 to 5 suitcases that they carry with them. They have nothing in storage. None of their kids own any of their hold any of their possessions. Everything they own is, in their mind, in their heart, and their 5 suitcases. And I said, when I grow up, I aspire to be that.
What an incredible story. And I guess my big question is always like, they still have to have a mailbox. So I've got a permanent UPS or it's a UPS mailing address, and I'm sure that they can manage that. But yes, you still have to, seems like you'd still have to have something. But sure. What an adventure.
Yeah.
I would love to meet them. I want to go just spend a week with them. That would be, and how to find 2 people that have that mindset.
Right? Yes. Yes. I'm still looking for my partner that has that mindset. Yeah. Somebody who can fill in my gaps, because I'm eager. I'm the type of person who would jump in the deep end and go, oh, crap, I can't swim. I do take risks. Yeah, I do like to, some people call me a risk taker. I didn't think I was, but some people say that I am. And so I'd like to find that person that kind of fills my gap again. I had one once and I need one again to fill my gap. I don't need one, but that if I were to look for a partner, as you said, it's like fill my gaps. I want to have somebody who shares that same desire for adventure and travel and impacting the lives of others through our experiences.
That's the key. My mama said, leave the world a better place, or make the world a better place, leave things better than you found them. And it's not that hard to do, just to let your light shine, be kind. My little candy bar hugs book, offering a candy bar and a hug to the checkout clerks, just something that every time, and the harder people are to love, the more they need it. So just love them anyway.
Yeah.
I don't mean I have unconditional love, unconditional forgiveness, not unconditional boundaries, right? I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about release attachment to that. You've got to be right. And, just release it and know, and love as God loves, because if he's love, he can't be not love. So those are just some of my sayings I continue to repeat almost every week or two. I'm like, that just always comes out because I feel like it's critically important for humanity that we begin caring more for each other.
For sure.
And you said something about your genius. People call you your genius is what? Listening and hearing and solutions,
it's actually,
right?
Yeah, it's really simplifying. I can take a concept and keep it simple. Sometimes we make mountains out of molehills. Okay, a lot of times we make mountains out of molehills, and it doesn't matter what it was that happened or how big it is in the moment. Coming from Scripture, everything is working for our good. And beauty comes from ashes, and the sun will rise in the morning for many of us. Some of us, go on to be with our Maker. But if we know that things are working for our good, and beauty will come from ashes, and every tear shed is counted, we can find hope and courage, bravery in the moment when we're walking through these trials. And I think that's where sometimes we lose sight when it's darkest before the dawn. When it's darkest before the dawn and we become desperate, we panic, we get into anxiety, when really, truly what the Lord is asking us is to be still. Psalm 48:10, be still and know that I am God. And know that everything is provided because he's our provider and our protector. And when we are in that place of needing to overcome, when the challenges are greater than ours, we need to lean on him. We need to lean in. We need to ask for what we need, what would serve us, and then be quiet and listen. Asking and praying to God is, us speaking. When we're in meditation and open to receiving and allowing it to come in, that's when he's going to talk to us. He won't talk over us. We have to be still and allow the answers and the solutions to come to us. So my genius is really to strip it away. I mean, those are a lot of different biblical principles, and they're all really big ones if you want to dive deeper into it. But when I string some of those together, it kind of makes it a little bit simple. And I do that with technology as well. I represent a platform that we've reduced it to the ridiculous, is what I call it. We've made it so easy for people to use technology now to get their message out, to be an entrepreneur, and to serve their family and create a residual income for themselves. So I really try to make things easy for people, in life and business, and reduce the struggles to help them have impact and move forward, not get stuck. Because a lot of people that I meet are in a place of stuckness. They might be stuck and they don't know how to move out. So I can break that chain pretty fast with most people and get them free to move on and do great things again.
I think you are so onto the secret. And I think the secret, the secret is we already mentioned, cutting out some of the technology of constantness, our phones. And I don't think people so many people don't ever have quiet. I know, oh, I'm just keeping it on for the noise in the background. I'm like,
It's
no,
noise.
what, sit in silence, sit in peace. You cannot receive spirit without, and we're not talking religion even a bit here. We're talking about relationship. We're talking about spirit. We're talking about your own inner soul that can speak to you and tell you things. And in witnessing, what's going on around us, and we, so few people, it seems, take 5 minutes just to take a deep breath and take 22 seconds to breathe in a little exercise. They're just, it's frenetic. Our world is frenetic right now, it seems. And so I'm just, I believe, and we talk, I said that's a key, being still, but gratitude is the key. And I know you said that too. So gratitude, I believe, is the ultimate key to open in a life of happiness, a life of joy, a life of contentment. If you can't live in gratitude and be in everything, give thanks. You might have heard that. I think we're onto something here, that some people could glean huge peace. I don't see people living in contentment and peace. It's like, what's next? And what can I be entertained by? And, is that right?
Yeah. Gratitude is expanding. Gratitude opens up, and negative thoughts, anxiety, panic, lower energy emotions actually are constricting, and they don't make space for us to see opportunity when we're in that state. And those aren't my words. That's actually science. You can follow Dr. Bruce Lipton to learn more
Joe
about
Dispenza,
that. Joe Dispenza,
Greg Braden. Greg Braden. I love those guys.
A lot of these people really talk
Scientists.
a lot about, they're scientists. We have some medical doctors in there who've actually studied the brain and showed positive words versus negative words while people are hooked up to, the electrodes on their brain and studying what parts of the brain light up. We know that negativity, negative words, and negative states of mind actually lower our immune system and can cause dis-ease in the body. So gratitude is the key. How do you manage your mindset? And so part of one of the masterminds that I facilitate is really about mindset, mindset, health, and health and weight management, mindset, and your technology and your business. Those are kind of my 1, 2, 3, and those are the 3 areas that I found that I needed help in and I needed focus in. And so now I bring amazing people together to support each other in those 3 areas.
Oh, amazing. So my second book coming out this year is called Split Second Transformation: Change Your Words, Change Your Life, 31 Daily Practices. And I listen to people speak death over themselves, or speak what they, don't want, and I want to, just shake them and go, look, speak what you want, not what you don't want. Speak life, not disease. Speak life, not death. Speak health, not disease. And we're not taught that, so I believe our media has not been very favorable to keeping us on the higher side of life, on the higher vibration, on the better energy of life. And I also have read and The Placebo Effect by Dr. Joe Dispenza is an amazing study and book, and his story of overcoming is crazy. And I know a lot of people like that. And so the complaining, they've proven it. If you complain, it makes a rut almost in your brain. It just gets deeper and deeper, and you can't. It's hard. It's not hard. It's simple, but it takes work to stop and get out of that. And upset draws upset. So love draws love, right? So and this is what I tell my grandkids and nobody can hurt your feelings without your permission. Nobody can make you angry without your permission. Stop and think, am I allowing everybody else to control my emotions? A lot of us are.
Very true. They can hurt us physically, somebody could cut you, punch you, hurt you. Different, emotions, how we respond to emotional hurts is from the inside, not the outside.
And totally. We have mindset is a huge piece of mine. I have a friend who wrote a book called Mind Shift on Demand, Donna Blevins. And when you surround yourself with people that will nudge you or kick you if you need to, just nudge you to take that higher road, take the high road. Mama said, take the high road. And I added, if it's hard, take the high road. Still the higher road. We have choice, and everything is choice. And I don't think people think that. They think that things are happening to them. No, they get your choice. You always have a choice.
You can have a choice to how you respond.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. You're doing some weekly mentoring, coaching.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that. How are people going to find you if they want to? Usually, and we'll do this again at the end, but you're gifted and you're out there and you're making an impact. And how can people tap into that with you?
For sure. I try to do everything through membership programs, where we come together as a group. I can lecture to people all day long, and I do that. I do step into that space with a keynote or trying to express something. But for me, I find that I have the greatest impact when I facilitate a group environment with different perspectives and different people. And that's why I love doing the show host, where I get to interview folks, and then people who join the show can stick around and have that conversation afterwards, where they can get instant answers, take away a solution in that moment, try, how we launch and get people out of their stuckness needs to happen in the now. If it's going to drag out and take too long, people won't take action. So when I can hear input from different people, I can formulate ideas and give people simple action steps that oftentimes can shift them. They can shift them from being stuck. I love this idea. I believe it was the book Atomic Habits, and they talk about micro habits. If somebody wants to go out and run a marathon, they don't go from the couch to the starting line. There's a process that happens in between there. And one of the steps in that process would be get up in the morning and put on your tennis shoes. If you do nothing else every morning, if you want to run a marathon, every morning get up and put on your tennis shoes. One of the days that you put on your tennis shoes, you'll decide to go for the walk. You may only go to the mailbox and back, but one of those days you'll start to go for the walk by just putting on the tennis shoes. You don't even have to think any further than that. You hold the intention in your heart, you had the thought of running the marathon, and you start by putting on your shoes. Action will beget action. So by putting on the tennis shoes and then maybe putting on the outfit, the uniform for the day, whether it's running shorts or a shirt and a tank top and shorts, you're going to put them on and you're going to wear them, and maybe you got to get ready for work, and you don't take any action. But if every day you get in the behavior of doing that micro action, the shoes, then maybe we add the clothes, then maybe we add, a walk to the local park or a walk to get coffee. There's one gentleman who was coming to my workshop on Saturday mornings, and he had a knee replacement. He said, I need to get activity, and they want me to run or go to the gym. And he decided he was going to walk to get his coffee every morning. So he walks to the local grocery store where they do have a coffee shop. And now he has this whole clan of people that see him every morning. They expect him to show up. When he's not, they check in with him. And he's been walking for years now. It's been a couple of years that he walks Monday through Friday to go get his coffee. Costs him, a couple of cents to do it, maybe $1 or something. And then he visits with those folks and he walks home. So he's getting his steps in, but he found a way of doing it. It's meditative. He does prayer during that time. He listens to books on tape on that time. So he's feeding his brain, he's fixing his body, and it was one step at a time. It was just a small habit that allowed him to create that space in his life to become healthy again. So I find that no matter what people need to do, no matter how they need to move that needle for themselves, there are micro habits that we can start to do to move you in the direction of the goal or the optimum outcome that you're looking for. And so I think that's where I start with most folks, is try to reduce it down to the ridiculous, make it as simple as possible, and then start to stack those micro habits and create momentum in people's lives. And before you know it, they've reached their goal with ease and comfort. And we do that through these mastermind groups where people come and they talk about what their challenges are and get feedback from the other people, not just from me. You know, I give a lot of feedback. I give a lot of advice, but we really, you know, the idea is that we learn better together in community. And we create accountability when we're speaking out what it is that we desire, what our optimum outcome is. And now you have cheerleaders. You have people in this room who care for you, who want you to succeed, and they're not going to bring you down. They're going to edify you and lift you up and encourage you, and they're not going to let you get stuck. And I love, you know, for adult learning, I don't think there's anything more beautiful than that. It fills my cup, and I don't ever think I can retire. I had to like release that word from my vocabulary, because I get to hold the space for people to have these beautiful life experiences, and I want to do more and more and more of them.
How do we find you? How does that happen?
My name. Yeah, it's just my name, lisamosbey.com. You can go to my website. It's just me.
So that story about the gentleman walking, Tom Ziegler is a friend of mine, is the proud son of Zig Ziglar, and he has created a saying that is of his own, that is, the fastest way to success is to exchange bad habits for good habits. I'm not sure that's exactly the quote, but it's similar to that, and when we choose to make a shift, one little shift into a different direction, and make one positive change, and don't beat ourselves up to death if we mess up. It's just a mistake. You can start over again, or just go back, apologize for that moment, and move forward. Do it again. So habits. By the way, Michael Singer, are you familiar with Michael Singer? Michael Singer, he wrote The Untethered Soul. He wrote.
Oh gosh, I have it on okay, I do have it.
Oh my gosh. I don't know how I missed him for all these years, but this year I fell in love with him. He's so easy to, he's just an old hippie that decided to meditate and became a very successful CEO, still living in his woods. Anyway,
I did that book on audio. Like I did an audiobook because I was telling you I was doing, and then I bought it. Like some books, I had to see it, feel it, highlight it. Yeah. And that is, it's funny because I'm horrible about remembering authors. So thank you for bringing that back.
No, and the Surrender Experiment was really my favorite, the first one I read, because it's like his life story, and it's like you can relate. Untethered Soul, and then the new one I've got right here, that not a newer one, I guess I haven't read it yet, the living untethered, that's a third one of his. One of the things that I love that he says is, when we're managing habits or bad habits, or smoking or drinking or whatever we do that we have a twinge that we probably shouldn't do as much, he calls it managing urges. I think that's so simple, because I will go, I have an urge to, do something I probably shouldn't do, or would be best if I minimized it or whatever. And it's like, but if it's an urge that I can manage in this second, then maybe I can manage it in the next second, and I can just start recognizing it as, I just want to drink, and just getting up and doing it and going, oh, that's an urge. I bet I can, if I wait 5 minutes, that'll pass. And I'm going to get, as soon as I get this done, then maybe I can do it. So managing urges is a huge piece to what he says, along with, and he just says, relax. Somebody cuts you off, you're mad, whatever. Take a second, relax, release it, let it go, and do what's necessary. I mean, you've got to take action, but relax the emotion behind it and release that, because if it's already happened, there's nothing you can change from last breath to last century. You cannot change 1 second that way. So I thought it was, I love that. And when when something going on, I'm like, no, is this going to matter? He calls it, we're a tiny speck of dirt in the vast trillions of years of humanity and universe and all this stuff. And we're spinning on this planet. In this one speck of time, we're going to let that driver that cut you off upset you. Maybe we ought to consider that everything because we're in a society right now, I call it like, you offended me and I'm triggered and all this kind of stuff. I'm like, no, you're choosing, you're choosing all that. So we don't have to be triggered and offended by anything. What do you think?
Oh yeah, I'm all over that. We have to manage our emotions. It's, we have this body and we're in charge of it. And we're also in charge of our brain, our feelings, all of our senses. The emotions that we experience, they're ours. For me, my coin of phrase on that is if somebody cuts me off, it's like, oh, I bless and release you. I hope you get where you need to go safely. And I'm sorry if somebody in your life is hurt. That's my instant response because if they need to get there faster than me, I can create space for them.
I love that. My mother always said, or Matt Kahn, if you're familiar with Matt Kahn, he said, a master is one who blesses. A master. And I said, well, that makes me a master because when, may you be blessed. And now I'm like, may that situation be blessed and, well taken care of. And those all trapped behind them too. If there's a wreck or something, I'm like, bless those in it and those behind it. But if you can just bless it, instead of that. And I heard somebody just recently go, oh, I bet they have to go to the bathroom really bad. So.
That works too. Yeah. But when you get angry, you give away your power. Mm-hmm. You allow somebody to take you from a higher vibration to a lower state of mind. And do you really want to give up a stranger who just cut you off in the car, your power? Do you really want to give up that energy? Do you want to lower your immune system for that person? I don't. I choose to live at as high a vibration as possible. Now, 9 a.m. for me is different than 9 p.m. My vibration may not be the same both of those times, though I do have, extremely high energy. I do get up very, very early, but my energy level, my best at 9 a.m. is different than my best at 9 p.m. They are both my best. They're the best that I can do in that time. So we get to manage our energy. We get to manage our emotions, and we really need to find peace in, feeling the feels, but not giving away the power. Like, yes, I'm angry. What am I going to do about it? I can choose to use a cuss word. I can use, I could choose to bless and release that feeling. It's like, whoa, dude, you're not going to get there safely if you're headed to take care of somebody else. I bless you and hope this all works out for you. And that allows me to just evaporate the emotion, like the intense emotion that I'm feeling came up and I got to let it out, but I maintain my high vibration. And so that's kind of you mentioned talking about words. You wrote a book on it. One of my keynotes is about conscious language. Would you let somebody come into your house with their garbage and dump it on your living room floor? If you said no to that, then why would you let somebody dump their garbage into your brain? Because once it goes in, that computer that runs our body cannot delete it. It gets stuck in there. If you have somebody speaking negative to you, if you're listening to all the horror of the world and not putting the positive in there, you're going to get stuck. You're going to get stuck in a lower vibration in a place in your life that maybe you don't want to be. So how do we fill up for good? How do we, invite people to come alongside us in our lives that are uplifting and positive, not to say that we don't have bad experiences. I came prepared to actually talk about some of the trauma that I went through for over 10 years, from 2008 to 2018, some of those things that I needed to overcome during that period, which has brought me to be the person that I am today, and how I managed all of those emotions. I think we'll save it for another time. You get the
No, I would
essence of
like
what
a
I'm
little
talking
bit.
about.
Yes, but I would
No.
a little bit of that because that's what we were initially going to talk about, the overcoming thing. And, in life, it just flows, whatever it goes. But yes, I would take something, because if you're talking about a 10-year period, because what we speak now, was that who we were? No, we learned along the way. I've always been optimistic, but I was bitter for a lot of years. And I found split-second transformation. You can change your words and change your life in one split second. It takes practice. So share that just a smidge.
Share that. I don't know that it's really just a smidge.
A decade is more than a smidge.
It's more than a smidge, and you pull something out of it and you lose context by pulling something out of it. But here's what I will share is, I was with my husband for 29 years, and then I became single again after 29 years. And so I'm not going to get into the details of that stuff, but going forward from that point, that was December of 2017 that we completed our marriage in December of 2017. And I lived in Las Vegas, Nevada for 15 years, but had never gone to the Strip for fireworks. And so that year I had moved away, I was in Minnesota at this point, Wisconsin at this point. And I went back, I hopped on a plane and I said, I'm going back for New Year's because I love fireworks. The 4th of July I got married on the 4th of July. I had met my husband at the Minnesota State Fair, and there were fireworks every night for 12 days. So fireworks were a huge deal in my life. And I really needed a reset. I needed to reset the emotions, the feelings, everything that was tied to fireworks. And so I went to Las Vegas, and I went down on the Strip of Las Vegas, didn't invite any of my local friends or anything. I was staying with someone, and everyone was very fearful at this point, 2017. They had machine guns. The National Guard was there. There was a lot of concern about things happening on the Strip. And it was like, that's okay. If it's my time, God's got me. He's my provider. He's my protector. I need a reset. I need to get me back. Like, I need to pull back in my mindset, empowerment. I needed empowerment. So I needed to go alone. And I stood there and I watched fireworks, and I'm amongst, a couple million of my closest friends at that point. And, it was just a time of reflection. And so, since that time, since, 2018 to current, I've had kind of some takeaways that I've learned. And one is, you need to acknowledge the problem. We need to be aware of the struggles and the challenges and what's going on, and put words to it. Don't hold it in our cells. Don't hold it in our body. Journal the heck out of it. Get it out of your system, get it out of your body, and recognize the problem. And then start to understand it. Where was the breakdown in it? You don't have to do this step. Sometimes, just getting it out is enough. You can bless and release it. But for me, I really needed to get an understanding of, and maybe reflect inward and just say, how was I at fault? What could I have done better? Not to bring myself down, but to give myself an opportunity to grow and learn out of that. And then what was, rising like the phoenix going to look like? Number 3 is like, how am I going to rise like a phoenix out of this? How am I going to set some goals, discover some optimum outcomes? What are the dreams and desires that I hadn't lived over those 29 years that I wanted to step into and experience? And then come up with a plan. These are some of the things. They didn't all happen that night, but that night was a reset. It was a starting point of it. And so as I'm able to reflect back over the last, since end of 2017 through 2017, and then 2018 with that fresh start, these are some of the takeaways. I wrote them down. There's like 10 takeaways for me over that span. And then, number 4 was devise a plan, come up with a plan. It's not going to be perfect the first time, but start planning for the future. Don't get stuck in the past. because we can live in the past, but the past has already happened. The only gift that we have is the present. But if you can look to the future, you can experience the present with more gratitude and more joy. And so creating that plan and then seeking support. Over the last years, the amazing people that I've met, that God has placed in my life, that I have attracted, been open to receiving, helped me through grief and pain and loss and sorrow and all those emotions that were just sucking the life out of me. So you need to get into support. I don't want people to listen to those people that, have all the answers, but they're not uplifting. People have been through this walk before me, and there'll be people following me that will go through this walk. And I wanted to be with those people that came out on the other side with joy and happiness, a newfound relationship, taking action. Number 6 is moving through the trauma, through the trial, and having a plan to do that, taking action to be able to do that, and then living in the present, which is number 8, staying present with, your feelings, your emotions. Number 9, practicing self-care. For me, self-care is, I don't miss church. I love going to praise. Like, I sing at the top of my lungs. I sit in the front row. I seldom go with anybody else. I mean, y'all are always welcome. There's never anybody sitting in the front row with me. I sit in front of the speaker and I sing at the top of my lungs, and that releases all the negative energy of the week. And then I get to start over again. So that's my form of self-care. For other people, I love hot baths and, maybe cups of coffee, and I love sunrises and sunsets and putting my feet in the sand. But what are those things for you that, those physical things that cause a joyful emotion in your body? Again, stops you from getting stuck. And the last one, my 10 tips out of that reflection is to reflect and learn. To reflect and learn. Growth comes through trials. If everything was always coming up roses, we wouldn't become better people. We have to walk through the trial. We just don't have to stay stuck in it. So reflect and learn and be able to find those people to come alongside you and move through it, to move you through it.
I am so, 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 so glad that we went back there, because because I'm so optimistic, and I call it outrageously optimistic, I just don't see the bad very often, but I know I'm not naive. It's not naive, naivety, however you say that word,
Naivete. Yeah.
Naivete. Yeah. It's strictly a choice to not dwell in the negative. And so all of those things in that little story of your transformation there, because people will say, well, you're just not living in reality, yeah, but that's the way I feel. And that's, so I feel like this showing that perspective that none of us have had it easy. I mean, come of a smooth sailing. And I would say almost nobody probably has had a life that didn't have some ripples in it somewhere, at least. And so we've got I know people that are, they're realists. I'm a realist. So I know what's really going on. I need to know what's going on in the world. And I was like, whose perspective are you hearing it from? Right. Sometimes,
Yeah.
But I think that you brought us back to, we find there are tools, there are people, there are availabilities to overcome the harshness. And we've all had it, so those 10 tips that you came up with, I'm sure not that night, but along the path of going, but you picked something, right? You chose something. You go, I need something different. I need to have some closure on that, or I need to have some fulfill, just a renewal of my spirit. I love that you did that.
Yeah, that was one of a few trips. I ended up in Boston because that's where I went for spring break when I was in high school. And I went to New York with my sister because she always wanted to go there. I mean, I can rattle off a bunch of them. I had to go travel. I had to go like expand and be grateful for the world that we live in so that I could get out of the stuckness that was happening in my life. And so, if you do one thing today, take a look at where you're stuck and what's one action step that you can do to get unstuck, to expand what you're looking at and see another option.
Perfect. We're speaking, probably we're speaking to the crowd, the people that already do most of this. People that really need it the most may not be looking for it. And that's the sad thing in a lot of ways. I feel like everyone is, and I don't like to make generalizations that much, but the younger people that I know and I live with and are around often are just looking to be entertained. And they don't necessarily have the self-introspection to go, how can I make this different? How can I shift? And they're reactionary rather than proactionary in their lives, right? So I see that. Do you see that too? Are you?
I was that when people looked at my life as a fairy tale life. I mean, it was pretty darn extraordinary. There was a lot of pain at the end, but I don't know that I would undo anything that I did. I
wouldn't either.
I had, I was so incredibly blessed with, a successful company in my early 20s that was bought out by a Fortune 500 company, and led to travel opportunities and beautiful homes and cars and all the stuff. And that all went away, all of it. I was stripped down to having nothing when I was 50 years old. In fact, I filed a tax return, when I was 18, 19, 20, didn't have a lot of money, but at 50, after having 29 years of my husband filing a tax return, I find myself going, I don't know how to do this stuff. He had a role and I had a role, and we really stayed in our own lanes. So there was this whole world of things that I had to go learn and start over with, and, find a place to live and a job to have, because I lost my partner, my business partner, my love partner. I lost my home, my business, my income, my resources. It's like, and a good percentage of my friends, most of them. So it was like really being stripped down to nothing, feeling naked in the world and being born again. And I don't mean that in a spiritual sense. I mean that just like, renewal. And, there's a lot of fear in that. And a lot of people would be fearful of that. And I'm not saying I didn't have fear. I had fear, and I had elation and joy and curiosity for what was coming next, because I knew God had a plan. I knew
it's
God
like
had
a clean slate, right?
Clean
Sometimes
slate.
now what do I want to do when I grow up? What do I want to be?
Yeah.
I can create my life. I can create everything is created through our
how
words.
I want. Yeah.
And it's through our words and our commitment to surviving. Sometimes it's just surviving for the next moment and building on that to where we become thrivers, and then we can help other people do it, which is what you're doing. And I didn't know that part about your story. I just see this, amazing overcomer and doing all these things and having success everywhere you look. And I'm inspired. That's what I want people to hear when they listen to my show. And I'm sure your show, we want people to be inspired to be their best, because when I'm speaking and being my best, it allows you permission or an example to like, maybe I could step it up a little bit too. The old Marianne Williamson,
Course in Miracles.
Other people
I have
permission.
I have the teacher's guide, the student guide. I have the workbook. It's all on there. Like, I don't buy a lot of books, but that one's on there too.
We've got, 4 Agreements is the one I also.
It's on there.
Yeah, that's great. But that particular book is the one I've recommended most over the years until when I was coming from the fundamental Christian world, I thought that was recommended to me. And I was like, well, it's in the New Age section. I better not do it. And I'm so grateful that I did, and that I opened my heart to know that God doesn't have a little box that I, of each little religion being their own little thing, or each little yogi being their own little thing. God doesn't have a box, man. It's just about loving and relationship.
Yeah. And get in relationship with him. Let everything else drop down. It's like, just get in relationship.
Exactly.
You'll find peace in your heart and love, and gratitude if you can do that. Mm-hmm.
Gratitude is the key. Gratitude is the key. And everything, give thanks. I mean, everything from, it doesn't mean you have to like it. You don't have to love your circumstances. You don't have to like that where you are right this second, but it's the only place you have to take the next step from. So if you don't like where you are right this second, where else do you have to start from? This is it. So make a new choice, make a different decision if you need to. Take this moment and this moment and this moment, because you can't undo that. They're already gone. Love yourself enough. Love yourself enough to take that, to take one decision, that tiny little, what'd you call it? The first little step, that's a micro.
Micro habits, start to create those micro habits for yourself that, you just don't miss those. I do 12 before 12 every day. I never lose a day because I have 12 activities that I do. I do, a little Bible study. I do a little reading. I do a little fitness. I have 12 habits that I do 12 before 12 every day. I never lose the day. And that way, when the kiddos, I have 10 great nieces and nephews just over the next development that come up. And if they show up and they want to be in my life for that day, I'm there for them. My mom and dad are with me. If they need help, I'm there for them. I have created a lifestyle that allows me to still win the day for me, my business, and the people that I serve, and be there for those that I love, adore, and, I get to spend time with.
and sometimes just hearing somebody else speaking that 12 before 12, that's something I can do. Or there's also some non-negotiables that I'm going to do every single day. And you can put it whatever you want to, but they don't have to be big.
No,
I'm 69 years old. And this year I'm like, I'm going to meditate every day. And I know me, if I get up and do stuff, I'll never go back to it. So I've made it my way, get up, go to the bathroom, lay back down. And it could be 5 minutes or 2 hours, but I'm going to commit that for me.
Yep.
For me.
That's a habit.
And it's a habit. And I found a way, because I've always like, well, I let everything else run my life, right? Or a lot of times. So I'm making a choice this year to make some different choices. And that's where we are. Lisa Mosbey, LisaMosbey.com.
Yes, ma'am.
Correct.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Because it'll podcast, they may not see it, right? So LisaMosbey.com, and the incredible wisdom and incredible depth of wisdom and the contribution that I see in you. It's very touching to me. I'm truth bumps, the little, I feel like you're special. We're all special, but you have chosen to step up on a stage of special. I mean, when we can really touch more people, my little thing is let my light shine when I go to the grocery store, to let people just feel my love and presence and energy. And it's interesting sometimes, people kind of just glean towards you, but it's that's our way. Every little bit helps. And this show is we've been here an hour now almost, and so this is crazy. I love our conversations. I love this time to just commune with others that just want to make a difference and leave the world a better place, like my mama said. So LisaMosbey.com, and I'm sure you're on Facebook as Lisa Mosbey.
Facebook, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Twitter, all of the things, Instagram. Yeah, they're and they're different things. Some were herbs, some for me, some for health and wellness. But
some for tech,
if you get to Lisa, yeah, if you get to my main page, it can take you to all the avenues that however you want to engage with me.
And I'm Charla at charlaanderson.com as well. So we're finding our way and we're punching through, and we're lifting each other up, and we're lifting you up as we go. So thank you for your time today, Lisa, and for blessing me and blessing humanity with your beautiful presence. So we're going to just, I always end with my saying who I am. My name means joy. So I'm always saying, I love you very much. And remember, choose joy.
Parting is such sweet sorrow. The Charla Anderson Show, encouraging you to stand strong and courageous with bold faith, no fear, immense hope, kindness, and love, especially towards yourself. Visit charlaanderson.com for replays, blogs, and more on her ever-expanding website, as well as watch her live TV show on winwinwomen.tv, Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. And so that we can continue learning together and growing this community of beautiful souls, we invite you to share the Charla Anderson Show with your circle of friends. Until we meet again next week, remember always, choose joy.